Welcome back to the Foundation. This is Swaytoven, and I want to reimagine how we look at music, listen to music, try to make music. I'm at the stage, and when you reach stages, is when I feel like it's like you have to try to unlock something, but it's something that you already should know how to do, in a way. Assuming that you've looked at enough videos and all that stuff, right? Now I've looked at videos in the past, but I really didn't know what I was understanding. See, when I thought that I needed to use compression before, without even knowing what compression really did or anything like that. Like I would look at a compression video and just, well, let me slap compression on my stuff, and maybe that's gonna do it. And I'm still not an expert at compressing, but I think when we get into the technicality of things is when things get just so confusing. In a way, people learn differently. When it comes to music, like I said, it's not something you have to learn per se, right? It's something within you, right? I mean, you can unlock it. It's how you're able to share that message, that feeling, and that vibe, right? That being said, you have to be able to see it, feel it. You know what I'm saying? You become an embodiment of that, in a way. Now, do you think that's how other people look at it? Not necessarily. Some people just hop on the stuff and put stuff down, whatever. And I've tried to listen to my music, in on the speakers turned all the way up, and it just doesn't sound that good. And it didn't matter at first. When I first started making music, I just put sounds that sounded good together. It didn't even seem like it really needed to mix anything. I really wasn't even worried about that. Maybe some panning, maybe turning some things up and down. Nothing crazy. But then I feel like I started to go down a rabbit hole. Started to try to process stuff, which I think is an interesting thing within itself, because over time, our ears and how we hear things, perceive things, veer from being natural and real to digital and artificial. We being humans, we're like the medium of nature and artificiality. So it's like we're like cyborgs in a way, hybrids. So it's just like, I think when it comes to a lot of things, technology, food, tastes, how we taste, colorings and flavorings, the music, how we perceive it, it's possible that our subconscious has been altered in a way. Who knows? That's an interesting subject that has nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about. But I didn't think I had the need to mix music. I don't think music really needs mixed, the natural stuff. You think about symphonies and orchestras and stuff like that. I've been to one before. You know what I'm saying? There's no mixing. That stuff is right in your face. The violin just happens to be that way. The other stuff happens to be that way. Other stuff happens to be over there. You feel me? But it's all hitting you in the face. Wall of sound. You know what I'm saying? Now, of course, maybe if you wanted some vocals and opera and stuff, you know what I'm saying? Everything just, right? But when it gets to the digital stuff, it's just like, ugh, right? And then when you wanted to get it loud, it just clips, distorts. It doesn't sound that good until you start to process it, right? And maybe it doesn't really need much processing, and if the signals are good enough, if the samples are good enough and all that. And I thought the solution was just to turn stuff down. Maybe if I can turn stuff down, I can then turn it back up in the mastering stage. I don't even have anything on master right now. But that doesn't really do anything. It just simply doesn't. Technically, the reason why, I don't know, it doesn't. See, that sound is still the same shape, right? Looking at a bigger picture, right? Maybe trying to color in that picture, with sound, right? We have a shape of the sound that just doesn't fit. It's jagged, right? And it doesn't make the picture look all that cohesive. You know what I'm saying? We're coloring outside the lines in a way. So it's just like, we have to kind of shape the sound inside of this picture, make it fit in there, right? So it's not about even changing the color or anything like that. It's about reshaping it, remodeling it in a way. And easily enough with the sound, the only thing you got to do with it is turn it up or down, unless you're adding some cool effects. And that's all it is. Like, when it comes to what I think that I'm looking for, the stage that I'm at, I think I just need to control the shape of the sound, So it's just like, how do I do that? Well, Luckily enough, transient processing, compression, clipping, things that we've already seen before. But the thing is that I've already, like I've said, thrown that stuff before on buses and tracks and stuff like that. Played around with the knobs and all that stuff. But it's just like doesn't really do anything. You know, it's funny with these knobs, right? They don't really do anything. I learned how to play chess when I was younger. You know, the pieces still have the same patterns to this day. Now I started to play it like back last year November. I still play it. I'm like on a 140-day streak now or something like that. I think I just reached Elite League. I'm in over 300 ELO, right? The pieces still do the same thing, same patterns. It's just how you use them, all right? So it's just like going back to the compression. Now me trying to use compression and clipping and all that stuff. You know, I try to look up it, and it's just like everyone's trying to promote a video or a plugin or something like that. But the knobs still do like the same thing. No matter what different plugin you use, like it playing a different game of chess, you know, the knobs still should have the same pattern. Unless there's like different algorithms, I suppose, you know, crazy thing like gold clip, right, with their alchemy algorithm or whatever, gold algorithm, whatever the hell it is. You know, it's supposed to be some crazy thing, you know what I'm saying? But does it really do anything different from using like free plugins? And that's just not what the video is about, by the way. I'm just saying, like, to reshape the sound, you actually have to use these crazy things that everyone else shows you. You know what I mean? And maybe not, right? Because that's not what I'm using, right? Like right here, I simply have Edison, so I can actually see the sound wave. And I have this 808, and I have a compressor and a clipper. Two things that, along with the equalizer, and also have a transient processor right here, will shape the sound of an 808. Maybe I want it to fit more into the mix, right? The bigger picture. And then when I want to step back and look at the bigger picture, turn it up, well, hopefully everything still's controlled, it's still inside the lines in the way. And how do I get it inside the lines? Well, all those confusing things that people talk about, like transient processing and compression and clipping, you know what I'm saying? All those things will shape the sound so that it fits. Having an ear for it also helps, but being able to see it does too. And am I an expert? No, but to be able to see how it actually works firsthand is also very useful. So, I mean, what we're going to listen to is like this 808 without anything, and we're going to just see how it looks. Hey, why is it crackling? .808 looks like this. Me personally, I think it's kind of low. It's not really. It's because of this. But we get a look at what the 808 looks like, basically. You know, it looks like this. This is a shape. Bigger picture, I'm telling you right now, that doesn't really help with the other waveforms that are going to come in, because it's too much happening right here. Too much happening. But I like the initial, like, hit of it. You know what I mean? So what's one thing that we can do to, like, change the shape? Well, we could start off with a transient processor. You know, because something that I know that I don't want is it to have too much body. Like, I like to, you know, use it at the start, but then it starts getting a little bit too much. I wanted to have space for the other things. So it's just like, I wanted to keep the attack, maybe shorten the attack, shorten the sustain, right? Fade it out faster. So that's what I did with this one. We'll actually see a little difference, hopefully, with what the 808 looks like. After this gets done saving, and hopefully doesn't freeze on me. It froze. It froze. It froze. I promise you it froze. I'm not. It hurts so bad. This bitch ass. Hey, reshape your sounds.